When I learned about cheating at my husband's event, I took action. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. His mic crackled, and a woman's name slipped out like a dare. The ballroom stiffened, then smoothed itself over with applause, like a wrinkle ironed by money. I'm Maya, the one who color codes chaos for a living. Run of show, vendor calls, last-minute dress tape. So I know a cover story when I'm standing inside it. Adrian's charity gala. His climb the ladder, court the donor's event, glowed with borrowed chandeliers and rented sincerity. I smiled for photos, adjusted the stage cues, and tasted metal. The name wasn't mine. Great crowd. He murmured at the podium, eyes skimming the VIP table where a woman in a crimson dress held her breath a beat too long. I've trained myself to catch timing. The offbeat is where truth leaks. My phone vibrated with production notes. I answered 3, ignored 2, saved my dignity for later. To my wife, Adrian said, pausing for applause, who keeps me grounded. He glanced right, not at me but past me, to the woman with crimson nails. A videographer whispered, he wants the spotlight warmer, and I said, of course, with the calm of a nurse arranging tools. I cataloged symbols, lipstick on a donor glass that matched her nails, a keycard sleeve peeking from Adrian's pocket, a smirk I'd never met. He finished the speech. The room lifted him like a tide. I stood beside the stage, taking notes on a man I apparently didn't know. If I exploded, I'd become the headline, not the story. The part of me that loves evidence started making folders in my mind. I didn't need a scene. I needed proof timed like an orchestral sting. Smile, missus. Hail, a publicist urged. This is a big night. I did, and my cheeks cooled like stone. I would not bleed where his brand could drink it. I would count, record, and wait. The lights dimmed for a video montage, and I stepped into the wings with my heart on airplane mode. Before the chandeliers and the mic, there were deli sandwiches and bus rides. Adrian used to bring me sunflower seeds in plastic bags and listen to me vent about double shifts. Success didn't change him overnight. It changed the air around him, and he inhaled deeper. To outsiders, we became goals, me, organized and unflappable, him, polished and grateful. Inside, little fissures spidered across the glass. He needed the right cufflinks more than sleep. He praised me in public, corrected me in private, and called it refining the brand. Last week he'd laughed when I packed my own dinner. You're lucky, he said lightly. Most women would kill for this life. I stared at the Tupperware and thought of the life I paid for myself. He frowned when I wore scrubs to his after-parties, like practicality was contagious. We argued about a weekend trip I couldn't take because of on-call shifts. It's one weekend, he said. It's 2 rent payments, I said. He kissed my forehead and called me my steady metronome, which sounded less like love and more like a tool. Still, we had our jokes. Our shared Netflix password still used his first campaign slogan. Our wedding vows are on a thumb drive in our junk drawer. Love is a house with familiar hallways, so you learn to walk them in the dark and forget the floor slants. Tonight, though, the floor tilted. Adrian's sister, Renee, pressed, perfect, terrified of scandal, hugged me by the ice sculpture and whispered, "You look amazing," with the urgency of a warning. I almost asked, "What do you know?" But the string quartet swelled and her smile snapped shut. I filed that away too. Outsiders admired. Insiders adjusted. I kept walking. And then I caught the crimson dress reflecting in his eyes like lit gasoline. I'm good with rooms. They talk if you listen. The donor from Tech North wouldn't meet my gaze, but his assistant kept glancing toward the side corridor by the service elevator. The crimson-dressed woman avoided mirrors but checked her teeth in spoonbacks. 2 groomsmen from a previous wedding recognized me and joked, "You again? Saving the day?" I moved through laughter like an undercover medic. On a banquet table sat a lone glass with a lipstick crescent, the exact shade of the woman's nails. I clocked it at table 7, seat 2, Adrian's default networking perch. "We need more dessert forks," the captain murmured. "On it," I said, but lingered when I saw Adrian accept a folded note from the AV tech. He slid it into his inside pocket with the casualness of a thief practiced enough to forget shame. "What's the timing for the award?" Jordan, my friend and tonight's hired stage manager, asked. 3 minutes, I said, but keep rolling if something goes weird. Define weird. Jordan said, eyebrows switching to alert mode. You'll know it when it waves. Adrian finished another toast and disappeared through the side corridor. My stomach dropped like the elevator I had already mapped. I followed to the threshold and stopped. The corridor smelled like citrus cleaner and secrets. 2 hotel staff emerged, gossip evaporating when they saw me. "You good?" one asked, and I nodded because women learn to lie kindly. Back in the ballroom, the crimson woman laughed softly at nothing. "Your husband's popular," a donor's spouse said. "He rehearses well," I replied. My hands steadied around the clipboard. If I screamed, I'd be dismissed as jealous. If I stayed quiet, I could learn the layout of betrayal. So I planted my smile and waited for the next careless breadcrumb to fall. Breadcrumbs turned into a baguette when the in-ear mic popped with a hot whisper. "Meet me by the freight elevator," same as before. The cue was supposed to be switched to reel 2. No one else flinched, but Jordan shot me a look. "Feed cut?" I asked softly. "No," Jordan said. That came from his lapel pack. We both stared at the stage door where Adrian reappeared 2 seconds too late, shirt collar notched like a fingerprint. He resumed his speech, silvered charm back online. "To our partners, our families," he said, and glanced instinctively toward the service corridor. My hand shook once. I checked the audio board, channel 3. Adrian showed a private transmission routed wrong for 5 seconds. Human error, or fate's idea of slapstick. When the applause drowned the moment, I took a breath that tasted like new oxygen. I slid to the AV booth. "Do you have a copy buffer?" I asked. "Rolling cash," the text said. "Can you pull the last minute and a half?" "Why?" he asked. "Because I'm saving the event," I said truthfully. He shrugged and hit export. I emailed the clip to myself and printed the slip of paper from the printer the ballroom used for place cards. A keycard envelope with a handwritten 1417 and our hotel's logo. It had been left under the lighting plan, the way lazy secrets forget that handlers read for a living. I didn't touch the key, just photographed it next to the plan, my watch visible, the ballroom clock framed in the mirror. Evidence is boring until it sings, and then it's a choir. Across the room, the crimson dress disappeared through the side door again, and I followed at a measured, professional pace. Containment first, always. I texted Jordan, "I'm fine. Capture everything. Backup drives." Jordan replied with a single dot, the signal we used for, "I see the fire." I rehearsed my face and returned to public view. Renee intercepted me near the donor wall. "Paper smile," she muttered. "Real smile later?" "Later," I said, which meant never if she protected image over truth. She adjusted my bracelet like a sister would, and then squeezed too tightly, a warning disguised as affection. "Adrian needs you for photos," the publicist called. I stepped into the camera wind and placed my hand on a suit that suddenly felt rented. "We'll celebrate properly upstairs," Adrian whispered into my hair, the words perfumed with promise. "What room?" I asked. His eyes flickered, a microsecond of reboot. "Ours," he said, and kissed my cheek in front of a triple burst of flash. I looked at his pocket. He kept the keycard envelope pressed flat against his chest like a shield. If I confronted now, he'd seize the narrative, fold my grief into his brand, and escape consequences by calling it stress. Dignity is not silence, it's strategy. I smiled like I was immortal and finished the line of photos. When he slipped away again, I adjusted the program one last time and told Jordan, "I'm stepping out for a breath." I stepped into the service corridor and let myself feel it for exactly 10 seconds. The humiliation, the heat of rage, the hard kernel of resolve. Then I exhaled, opened my notes app, and became my own private investigator with good shoes. I started with what the night had already given me. The audio clip, the keycard envelope, the list of vendor deliveries timestamped to the service elevator. I screenshotted the export email, the file metadata, and the ballroom clock. I photographed the donor wall with the crimson woman's reflection in a plaque, timestamp on, my face out. I texted the hotel front desk from the event line to confirm that room 1417 was active, screenshotting the generic, "We can't share guest info" reply because it proved the room existed. In the loading dock, a rideshare driver flicked a cigarette toward a cone. "Pickups?" I asked. He nodded toward the staff exit. "Big tipper in a tux keeps bouncing between levels," he said. "Same woman twice." Time, 10 after 8 and 25 past. I logged that. In the AV booth, the tech mentioned a brief dead zone on the back corridor cameras because a temporary wall blocked sight lines. I sketched the gap, then asked security for the access log printout of the staff stairwell for vendor audit. The guard, 22 and Ernest, printed it. Adrian's badge wouldn't be on it. He wasn't staff. But Crimson Dress had passed with a guest pass escort, signed by a name I recognized. Adrian's executive assistant. The assistant had resigned last month via a sterile email about fit. Jordan reappeared with a neutral face. You need anything? A quiet corner and a charger, I said. We tucked into a coat closet lined with formal wear like patient trees. I built folders. Audio, visual, witnesses, timeline. I titled the doc Containment. The last thing I added was a photo of my own calm face, to remember who I'm protecting. Allies matter. Jordan has a gift for making silence feel like a blanket. You're not breathing, Jordan said gently, handing me a water. I am, I said, just rationing. Do you want me to ask questions? Ask if the assistant still has her staff badge, I said. Jordan nodded and vanished. I texted Renee, meet me by the coat check. 5 minutes. She arrived in 2, eyes glossy, perfume sharp with anxiety. If you're about to accuse my brother, she began, please remember donors are here. I'm about to ask you for honesty, I said. Honesty costs reputations, she whispered. In this family, it costs less than silence, I said. She glanced at the service corridor. I warned him not to get sloppy, she muttered, shockingly plain. I felt the floor steady under truth. So you knew? I said. I suspected, she said. I hoped fear would fix it. Fear never fixes what it hides, I said. If you care about him, you'll want me to have the facts. Renee's fingers trembled. Who? A woman in crimson, I said. She swallowed. Board liaison, she whispered. Of course, I said, because proximity is an old story. Jordan returned. Assistant's badge deactivated, they said, but a temp badge was issued at 6:43. I logged it. Renee took a breath like a diver. If you're going to do this, she said, do it clean. I intend to, I said. Then let me help, she said, surprising herself. And that's when Adrian texted me. Meet me upstairs now. As if commands were medicine. I didn't go upstairs. I replied, running a crisis with the caterer. 10 minutes. He sent a thumbs up, the arrogance of an emperor scheduling apologies. I took the elevator not to 14 but to 12, where the mezzanine overlooked the lobby like a watchtower. From there, I saw Crimson check in at the front desk, receive a second key folio, and tuck it into her clutch with a practiced flick. I filmed the entire exchange, my phone braced against the railing for stability. Jordan murmured, You good? Define good, I said, watching Crimson step into an elevator with a man from the sponsor list. The doors closed. A moment later, Adrian emerged from the bar, alone, checking his reflection like a confession. He approached the bell stand, accepted a small envelope, and slipped it into the same pocket as the first. 2 rooms. I time-stamped both interactions. My lease ends in 6 weeks. My savings could cover 3 months, and my credibility, both at work and in our marriage, stood on a thin ledge. I imagined hurling my ring into the lobby fountain and felt nothing. I imagined building a life where my face didn't pinch around his absences and felt everything. I texted attorney Patel, recommended by a nurse I trust, with a neutral line. Friend needs to understand separation options. Can you talk tomorrow? Patel replied within minutes, offering a noon slot. I booked it. Jordan squeezed my shoulder. You're choosing you, they said. I'm choosing the truth, I said. Then my phone buzzed again with an unknown number, sending a photo of Adrian kissing Crimson in a mirror. The photo was angled from high, like a ceiling camera or a friend holding elevation. It was grainy but definitive, Adrian's hand on the small of her back, her phone reflected in the mirror, his mouth half an inch from hers. The text read, You don't deserve this. I typed, Who are you? And got back, someone who's done covering. The sender dumped 3 more images, a time-stamped hallway still, a receipt for champagne to 1417, a calendar invite titled Briefing with Crimson's initials. I saved everything, toggled airplane mode to lock the cache, then took manual notes. I asked, Do you have video? Maybe, the stranger replied. What do you want? I typed, Nothing illegal. I want truth preserved. The reply came fast. Then record your own. Mine will disappear. I breathed. Jordan watched my face change and said, "We have enough to stop pretending." "Not yet," I said. He could spin this as a drunk hug, a misinterpreted text. I need him to choose the lie with the receipts on the table. "You're brutal," Jordan said, awed. "I'm tired," I said. I pinged hotel security to confirm camera retention policy, screenshot the policy, and requested preservation of footage for incident review. The guard promised a hold for 72 hours. I started building the reveal. A family dinner tomorrow. A board debrief he couldn't dodge. Renee invited as witness. Jordan as outside observer. "We doing this?" Jordan asked. "We're doing it clean," I said. And then Adrian called, voice syrup thick, asking if I'd wear red tomorrow for the cameras. "Red looks powerful on you," he said lightly. "And I want power beside me." I leaned against a concrete pillar near the valet and watched a couple laugh like they'd never tasted fear. "Power doesn't make you honest," I said. Silence hummed. He pivoted. "I booked the spa for you in the morning." "That's thoughtful," I said, steady. He must have sensed the undertow because he shifted into love bomb mode. "I know I've been distant. The campaign is a lot. I'll make it up to you. Let's ditch breakfast, just us. Room service." "We'll breakfast with your sister," I said. "She misses us." He hesitated. "Renee loves me," he said, like a dare. "Renee loves truth," I said. "I'll meet you at 8. He softened his voice. "Babe, are we okay?" I stared at the glass doors, at my reflection, at the version of me who kept accepting almost. "We'll talk tomorrow," I said. He tried one more gambit. "I'm proud of you," and the words landed like counterfeit bills. I hung up and composed a group text. Me, Adrian, Renee, breakfast at 8 in the private dining room. "Need your input on gala debrief." Jordan texted back a single flame emoji from across the lobby. I sent them the time for the board debrief at noon and added, "You'll sit in the back. Witness, not weapon." "Copy," Jordan replied. I closed my eyes for 3 breaths and let the plan settle. Then I opened them to find Crimson waiting by the elevator, smiling like she already owned my tomorrow. She moved closer, the kind of glide rehearsed for rooms like this. "You must be Maya," she said, voice honeyed. "I've heard you're the reason tonight sings." I tipped my head. "I keep schedules. The talent keeps secrets." Her smile thinned. "I'd hate for wires to get crossed," she said, meaning, stay out of the wings of my storyline. "Crossed wires can start fires," I said, and watched recognition flicker. She stepped nearer. "He loves you," she lied. "He's just overwhelmed." "Then he should rest," I said. "Alone." The elevator chimed, and she slipped inside with 2 board members who pretended not to know her. The doors closed on a silence that tasted like battery. Jordan reappeared with my coat. "Final sweep?" they asked. "Final sweep," I said. We collected the exported audio, duplicated it to a fresh drive, labeled footage, and signed off on vendor invoices so no one could claim I tanked the event. I sent a calendar hold to Adrian and Renee for breakfast, to Adrian's board liaison for the noon debrief, to Attorney Patel for noon 30, with a note. "If debrief runs long, I'll call from the hallway." Then I went home to my modest apartment that smells like laundry and cinnamon, packed a weekend bag in case, and put my marriage certificate next to my passport, not because I planned to flee, but because leaving and staying both require identification. I slept 4 hours, dreamed of fire alarms, and woke to rain that sounded like applause. At breakfast, Adrian kissed my cheek and called me my anchor, as if nicknaming could patch hulls. Renee arrived neat as origami, jaw set. "You look tired," Adrian said, faux concern melting over me. "Late wrap," I said. We ordered coffee. I placed my phone face down and began with logistics. "Donor follow-ups go out at 10, I said. "Photos by 4. A thank you reel tomorrow." He relaxed, lulled by competence. Then I set the hook. "One more item," I said. "Security needs to confirm access logs for the service elevator. There was a transmission error last night." He blinked. "What kind of error?" "Private audio routed to main for 5 seconds, I said casually, and watched a storm cross his pupils. "Technical glitch," he said. Renee stirred her coffee. "Glitches tell truths no one schedules," she murmured. "What are we talking about?" he asked, smile stiff. I opened the email and slid my phone toward him. The clip played. His whisper, "Meet me by the freight elevator, same as before. fluttered like a moth trapped in a glass. He laughed too loudly. That's out of context. Context like this? I asked, and produced the keycard envelope photo, the front desk recording, the champagne receipt, and the stranger's photos. Renee's breath left her like a secret. Adrian reached for my hand. I drew back. We can fix this, he said. We? I asked. And that's when the board liaison texted him. Room 1417 is yours until noon. Do you want more ice? He went bone white. Renee saw the message reflection in the silver teapot and made a sound that wasn't language. I kept my voice even, as if reading a menu. At noon you have the board debrief, I said. You'll be asked about donor retention, ethics policy, and resource allocation. I've prepared slides. He stared. Slides? A timeline, I said. Because if your personal choices jeopardize the campaign's integrity, the board must see risk clearly. I won't lie for you. I won't be used. You'd embarrass me, he hissed. You embarrassed yourself, I said. I'm protecting the cause, the staff, and my future. Renee cleared her throat. If she doesn't show them, I will. He pointed at her. Traitor. No, she said softly. Finally a sister. He tried the old scripts. Tears that pooled without falling. Phrases polished by 1,000 emergencies. Stress, he said. Loneliness, he said. She means nothing, he said. I leaned forward. I used to accept almosts. I won't anymore. I outlined terms. Counseling, full transparency, written boundaries, a career step back until he earned trust. He refused. Then we proceed, I said. I'll present the timeline at noon. He stood too fast, chair legs screeching. You will regret this, he said. I looked him in the face, the way you look at a storm you've already boarded your windows for. Possibly, I said, but I'll regret lying more. He stalked out, leaving his ring of charm clattering like a dropped prop behind him. The debrief smelled like lemon polish and power. I cued the deck and spoke evenly, sticking to dates, times, places, amounts, sources. I didn't say cheating. I said conflict risk, brand vulnerability, access misuse. Slides displayed, the misrouted audio clip, the service elevator logs, the concierge footage timestamps, the receipt for 1417. A board member coughed. Another adjusted his tie in slow motion. Adrian interrupted twice. Both times I ceded him the floor, and both times his explanations frayed. Friendly meeting, he said. Misinterpreted photo, he said. Then the stranger texted me a 15-second video. Adrian and crimson, reflected in a mirror, faces close, his hand decisive. I airdropped it to the room, and the silence that followed was surgical. We'll adjourn, the chair said. HR and ethics will follow up. Adrian glared at me like he'd found a blade in bread. Afterward, in the hallway, Jordan squeezed my hand. You were clean, they whispered. No slander, only receipts. Renee stepped into the light like a person choosing air. I'll get the car, she said to me, pointedly not to him. In the elevator, I cried silently for 19 floors. Then I wiped my face, called Attorney Patel, and walked myself toward the life I wanted. That night, I moved to a friend's spare room with the weekend bag I'd packed, my wedding photos zipped in a folder called Archive, and a copy of my boundaries in my notes. The next morning, Adrian showed up at my door with flowers, demands, and a threat. He held peonies like they could hypnotize me back into compliance. You made a scene, he said. You cost me donors. Your choices cost you donors, I said. He tried to shoulder past me. Jordan appeared behind me like a lighthouse, and he stopped. You think you're noble? He hissed. You're vindictive. I'm sober, I said. And I'm done. I handed him a printed list. Therapy requirement, separation terms, financial disentanglement, a written apology to staff for resource boundary confusion, and a promise to recuse himself until oversight concluded. Sign or leave, I said. For the first time, I watched him meet a wall not made of people. He looked small, like image had been dressing him, and now it stepped away. You'll come back, he said weakly. I won't, I said gently. When he left, the apartment exhaled. In the weeks that followed, I met with Patel, got my own therapist, opened a separate account, and learned how quiet can be kind. Renee texted daily check-ins using GIFs that made me snort laugh. Jordan and I walked laps around the park, letting clouds name themselves. I kept the evidence folder, not to weaponize, but to remind myself what certainty feels like. Healing is paperwork and pancakes and sleeping diagonally. If you're reading this because your gut is screaming at a party, believe it. Document, breathe, wait. Don't let rage write the first draft. Let truth do it. Then build a life where your face doesn't flinch around doors, where mirrors return you to yourself. And one day, you'll open a window and the air will finally smell like yours.